This hour, the Attorney General Eric Holder pointing to the Bush White House as his legal precedent for deciding to try the Christmas Day bombing suspect in federal court instead of treating him as an enemy combatant. So now Republican lawmakers, including Arizona Senator Jon Kyl, want to know who are the more than 300 terrorists that Holder claims were tried in criminal court under the Bush administration, and why haven't we heard about them? Meantime, John Brennan, the President Obama's top terrorism advisor, is firing back at Republicans, accusing them of playing politics with some of these terror cases.
Quite frankly, I'm tiring of politicians using national security issues such as terrorism as a political football. They're going out there, they're unknowing of the facts, and they're making charges and allegations that are not anchored in reality.
Well, that stirred up a bit of a hornet's nest. Catherine Herridge is live with more on that from Washington. Catherine?
Well, John, as you saw there, the White House counterterrorism advisor John Brennan suggesting that the top four Republicans in the House and in the Senate, especially those who deal with intelligence, were well aware because they had a phone call on Christmas Day from Brennan indicating that the alleged Christmas Day bomber was in FBI custody. And Brennan says they knew what that meant. That meant that he would be Mirandized or he would be read his rights and he would end up in the criminal system. The allegation is made by John Brennan against the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, also the House Minority Leader John Boehner, and then the two top Republicans on the Intelligence Committee, Kit Bond on the Senate side, and then also Pete Hoekstra on the House side. What's significant here is, if I could sum up the response of all four members of Congress, is that they felt that these calls on Christmas Day were really courtesy calls. A status report, they were very brief in length, about 3 or 4 minutes, and at no time was the administration's legal strategy discussed with them. So once again, a story which has remained controversial for 6 weeks, has new legs or a new lease on life after the Sunday talk shows, John.
And there's even disagreement between the two sides as to how many terror suspects have been tried in criminal courts, huh?
Well, yeah, we've had sort of two stories playing out in the last 6 weeks. We've had the controversy over the handling of the alleged Christmas Day bomber and whether he should have been sent to criminal court as opposed to military custody where the interrogations could continue. And there's also been controversy over a figure that's been put forward by the Obama administration to justify their position that the federal courts are the right venue. They have consistently said 300 people have been prosecuted in those courts and have been sent to prison. But over the weekend, in an interview with CBS, the president said otherwise. Let's listen.
They prosecuted 190 folks in these Article 3 courts, got convictions, and those folks are in maximum security prisons right now. And there have been no escapes, and it is a virtue of our system that we should be proud of.
Well, what's interesting here is when the president refers to they, he's referring to the previous administration or the Bush administration. And the former White House spokeswoman Dana Perino told Fox over the weekend that this figure of 300 is grossly inflated because it doesn't deal primarily with capital T terrorists or members of al-Qaeda. It deals with a very broad range of people, some with very loose connections to terrorism, some who are members of these animal rights groups such as ALF, so they would not qualify, at least in that strict term, for the justification for sending al-Qaeda members to the criminal system, John.
All right, Catherine Herridge live in Washington. Thanks, Catherine.